Libra friends, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my Libra July 2025 astrology horoscope forecast. Wow, we're in big times when we have all of the outer planets changing within a short period of time. It's very rare that outer planets like Pluto and Saturn and Neptune and Jupiter and Uranus change signs, but within a little over a year, we are having that happen, and now in July, we have added the final piece to our puzzle, Uranus. So we're going to take a look into what Uranus in Gemini can mean for you, specifically as a Libra. So do know that since Uranus will be moving into fellow air sign, that the whole 7 to 8 years of this Uranus in Gemini transit is going to mean extra special blessings for Libra placements, since it will make the most happy and positive of all planetary aspects, the trine. So having a long-term trine from an outer planet is a beautiful blessing, a much better situation than the difficulties of the placements for the last 7 to 8 years. So that's also very exciting to know. And we're also going to do some very short-term discussions, like what's happening right now. This Uranus thing is new, but it will be in process for a very long time. But we do have some transits like Mercury retrograde in Leo this month. We're going to talk about what that means exactly for Libra as well, plus all kinds of other goodies you need to know to make this month the best possible. This is for you if Libra is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Libra placement you're listening for. What I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. Very late degree Libra friends, so birthdays like October 15th through the rest of the sign, or 23 degree Libra placements through the rest of the sign. I suggest you additionally listen to my Scorpio report, as you very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. Okay, so what we're going to do here, also we're going to talk about the new moon and full moon. We'll get to that. All right, so what I want to do is build, okay? We'll build from the shorter term aspects up to these longer term energies. So the first thing we want to talk about is the fact that we're in Cancer season for most of the month. The sun moving through the sign of Cancer is joining recently moved into Cancer Jupiter into the 10th house of work and career and your place out in the world for Libra. Jobs, employment, advancement, lateral movement within your work, increases in pay, recognition, raises, any of those things having to do with your work are all up for discussion, and the sun is putting a giant spotlight there. The giant spotlight both brings warmth and energy and focus. It also helps you to see things that, like a bright light in a dark room, you can see if there's paint that's cracked or, spider webs or dirt. The sun will show you the things in your work sector that need attention. That, coupled with the retrograde energy, will bring things back from the past to think about and to discuss and to consider. Now, the bright light can also show you the things that are working, and that bright light there can give you recognition, acknowledgement, and advancement. Now, you're entering a time from June 2025 to June 2026, when Jupiter is going to be making a long-term transit through this house of work and your career. And so all of the things I'm talking about that are highlighted by the sun for just this month are highlighted in a longer term way with Jupiter. I go into that more in the June reading, so you can go back and listen to that. But I just want to give you a heads up about that. Now, if you are a person who is retired, or you are independently wealthy, or for you money is not a situation, or work is not a situation, this can have to do with these bigger questions that you ask about what are you doing with your life? What are you doing out in the world? How are you going to make your mark? How are you going to use your gifts now that your employment isn't necessary? Those kind of questions are highlighted in a short-term way with the sun there, and in a long-term way with Jupiter there. Something else very important that I've been talking about with the movement of Jupiter over this cusp here is that it puts you at a crossroads with home and work because of the polarity it creates between the 10th house cusp and the 4th house cusp. This is one of the big two of the big four cusps that we have in the Placidus chart. And, well, just basically in the astrology chart as well. I mean, any astrology chart. These are important factors that put you at a crossroads with your home, with your family, with your housing, with your work, with your place out in the world and your inner world. So just know that that is going on. Okay, so let's see what else. The energy of the sun in Cancer is very emotional. So emotions, for better or worse, are going to be coming up. This is very kind of moony energy, you know, how you feel emotional at the moons, or, you go inward at the moons. This is sort of a multiple week transit of focusing on your inner world. And since Cancer does also rule home and family, you will be asking those types of questions: home, housing, real estate, that kind of thing. Or maybe you're just sprucing up your house, or maybe you're attending to things that need to be dealt with in your home and family. But that's definitely going to be themes that you see coming up. Okay, so Mercury is going to go retrograde. Let's talk about the dates. It entered its pre-retrograde shadow transit June 30th. It officially goes retrograde July 17th until August 11th. And its post-retrograde transit shadow period will go until August 26th. So essentially all of July and August are covered in retrograde energy, which means that it's going to be very difficult to plan for those months, and it's going to be difficult to plan in those months for the future. This is a time where I always like to bring it back to the astrological tides. When we have a personal planet like Mercury retrograde, personal planets are the ones closest to us and, affect us more obviously. Then you are the person on the shore waiting to see what the waves bring into you and responding to the things that the waves bring in, rather than being a person on the shore trying to push your message in a bottle or your boat or whatever out to sea. Because everything you try to push out will likely just come right back to you. So it's good for short-term activities, short-term commitments, trying things on that aren't of big consequence, experimenting, things that you don't care what the longevity looks like, just sort of free day-to-day things. All of that is great for retrograde. But if you have like your life work, your biggest launch, your new business that you want to last a long time, you may want to consider different launch times. Now, if you want to plan for the future more, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com and scroll down until you see Secret Star Portal, or you can just search organically Annie Botticelli Secret Star Portal. And that service included in there, when you look under the current and upcoming astrology, has my retrograde and direct planning tool. So you can see the whole calendar for the rest of the year, and you can, make arrangements if you're trying to plan beyond now. But what we can say for this month is that it's going to be difficult to plan, and it's not the best time for your big launches. Okay, also even just scheduling anything, doctor's appointments, unless they're emergency or very consequential. If you can get your teeth cleaned in June, and you're listening to this early, do that. If you can do all your doctor appointments and just, things that require more clarity or easier time scheduling, you may have an easier time with scheduling in June than you will in July and August, when you will spend a lot of time on the phone trying to reschedule things that were scheduled that are now being canceled or called into question. Okay, so that's just a big retrograde awareness that can really help you not waste your time this month. Okay, so now specifically, Mercury is going retrograde through Leo. That means things from the past involving Leo energy. So love interests, romance, things involving children, fertility, creativity, creative babies that aren't humans, anything having to do with where you shine, what you get excited about, and what makes you shine bright like the sun. I always think of Leo energy as like sunflower energy. Leo is ruled by the sun. And whatever makes you feel like you're so excited that you're stretching up towards the sun with joy, those are Leo things, So those things are going to come back in. Maybe you'll get back into taking a class on something that you love. Maybe you will start, having little opportunities to showcase some things that you've done. Again, not the big launches, but just some little things here and there to get into the limelight with your creative offerings. So the retrograde will offer a lot of those things. Now, specifically for Libra, this is moving through the 11th house. So the 11th house governs friendships and alliances and very long-term goals, even though we've said we can't really make a lot of outward movement on those, just the pondering of these life goals, networking, the future, and technological, futuristic types of things. So with Mercury retrograde in this very expressive Leo, which is in a sign that works well for Libra because the fire and air are in a nice flow, you may get an invitation to revisit your role in these group dynamics and rethink how boldly you are showing up in shared spaces, for better or worse. You may reconsider things in the public sector like social media, local groups and teams that you're a part of. And, so this retrograde process may bring you back to reconsideration of these things. You'll definitely have growth opportunities. The retrogrades always bring that. Friendship reflection is a very big thing that will come up. Old friends may reappear, literally or in memory, sparking insight about the people that really support you, truly, truly support your evolution, and the people who you're really showing up for and who you want to show up for. Miscommunications are common in Mercury retrograde, and you may become aware of different challenges within your friendship groups or networking groups, like jealousies or ego entanglements in your circles, and it may be time to reassess who belongs in your future. Now, not necessarily making that decision right now unless it comes to you. Remember, anything we talk about with retrogrades and planning your activities, these are things within your hands. If there are things that are out of your hands that are just manifesting at this time, you don't have to resist them or be worried about it, because that's not your work that you're trying to do, or your energy that you're trying to make something happen. But this is a time to reassess who belongs in your future and who's just taking up space, or who belongs in an old era of a person who you were that you no longer resonate with. You may also be revisiting these very long-term goals. As I said, the 11th house rules the dreams that you have for your life, not the dreams at night. That's the 12th house. We'll talk about that too, because Mars is there for you. But your big dreams, sometimes they're even the ones big enough that you're afraid to say them out loud. You may realize that a goal or a dream that you've been chasing is no longer your dream, or maybe it never was to begin with. It's a really great chance to rewrite your vision board, basically updating things with more authenticity and more passion. What really brings you excitement and joy right now, and how you can align your future with those things. Passion projects are a big topic that are coming up. As I said, the 10th house, even if you don't need to work, can rule these passion projects. Leo rules passion projects. And the retrograde may bring back a passion project from the past for a reinvention or something like that. There's also this energy of visibility in the collective. We talked about that. You may reassess that, revisiting past platforms, or going back to a way that you used to share, or reconsidering, or maybe taking a digital detox or a break, or having some sort of fresh perspective. You may question your friendships in a very big way, and you may try some different arrangements in those arenas. Okay, so as I said before, we will also have the dreams at night sector of Pisces highlighted, because Mars is going to push through Virgo in the 12th house for Libra. Mars, my little saying is, wherever Mars goes, obsession flows. So you will notice you're very, very, very in your head, more than usual. You may be more reflective, trying to make something happen. Your thoughts may be more busy. So this would be a good time to use these powerful active forces of Mars to put towards things like meditation. Meditation is a word that is not going to go away. It's going to become more and more obvious to the world as a mainstream effort, as it is already happening, that meditation is a very huge key to managing humanity. Not just health, not just wellness, not just relationships, not just finances, but also conscious evolution. Because when we can master our minds, then we can access all of the treasure trove of possibilities within us, and we can heal all of the treasure trove of opportunities from ancestral and other karma within us. And so you may notice that psychological focus, spiritual focus, ancestral focus, deep cosmic consciousness types of, arenas are coming up. Your dreams may become more vivid. You may have lucid dreaming, you may be more inclined to use your unconscious mind for healing and for manifesting. Okay, let's see what I want to talk about next. A couple of points about the general transits before I go into some of these longer term things, and we'll hit the moons as well. We have very unbusy skies compared to last month. Last month in June, we had about 30 aspects. Aspects are mathematical connections that are meaningful in the stars, and they affect us here on the earth. And we have, less than half of, or more than half of, less of them. Basically, there are around 13 major aspects for the main Western astrology planets that we're looking at versus 30 for last month. So that's just less road bumps or sweet spots, but we do have quite a few sweet spots, and a lot of them involve Venus this month. So Venus is very happy, the ruler of love and money and romance and finances. Also, although we have those unbusy skies from the aspect perspective, we are entering eclipse season. We've got 2 powerful eclipses, both in the Pisces-Virgo eclipse polarity in September, and 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes 8 weeks before those eclipses, we begin the season. So you'll see an activation of storylines that started to come up at the end of 2024, came up a few months into 2025, started to go down to a new normal, and they're erupting up now. And you will start to see the bubbles of them come up for a continuation of the chapters of the storylines that happened then. One of the perks that you get when you sign up for my free newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com is the link to my eclipse resource page, where you can see videos I've made specifically for your placement. So you can use the guide to see which houses are accentuated for you, for your rising, for your moon, for your sun, whatever you want to use. And then you can see how that eclipse cycle is affecting you. And I will talk about it more in the August and September reports as well. But just for now to know, you might start to see these themes that you thought were kind of going to bed a bit, coming back up. All right, let's see. So let's talk about Uranus and Gemini, and then we'll hit the moons. The keywords associated with Uranus are breakthroughs, liberation, instability, sort of randomness, excitement, like lightning strike type of energies, new, novel, forward-thinking, futuristic. So all of those energetics that are wrapped up in Uranus are coming to Gemini. Gemini rules writing and communication and mobility. So during this around 7 to 8 year cycle, we will see a lot of advancement in the collective, in how we communicate and how we take in and put out information and how we are mobile. So that's going to be very interesting to see a lot of, Star Wars type things starting to come, not necessarily with fighting with the aliens, but, more like advancements in how we move around and how we, communicate, etc. But specifically for Libra, Uranus is going into the 9th house. So I want to talk about that more. Okay, some specific things for you. So since the 9th house has to do with your personal truths, your beliefs, your mental, framework, this transit is about liberating your mind from old systems. Okay, so you're going to experiment with philosophies that are aligned with things that resonate more with you. You may be exposed to viewpoints that are exciting or unsettling or jostling, and you'll have an opportunity to review everything that you were programmed on your beliefs in the past and to revolutionize your belief systems. You may crave these new ways of thinking. You may crave new languages and new cultures and new truths and new ways of learning and technological ways of taking in and putting out information. This could definitely mark a period of breaking from, things that had been static or stagnant, academic belief systems, basically forging your own way of viewing things. There may be unconventional learning, unconventional traveling. Digital nomadship is definitely going to have a great increase. You may be teaching about your truth globally. You may have an impulse to go against the grain and to educate about that in the arenas of publishing and broadcasting and higher vision. There's originality, there's disruption, there's, radical types of energy. So you may publish something, teach abroad, become a voice for new paradigms. This is the type of thing that is going on at this time for the next 7 to 8 years. All right, so let's talk about the moons. July 10th, we've got a full moon at 18 degrees of Capricorn. That's specifically for Libra, is in your 4th house of home. We already talked about quite a bit of activity there from Jupiter being in Cancer, the sign of Cancer, from the sun moving through the sign of Cancer, accentuating the home and family. But now you also have a full moon bringing fullness, completion, fruition, possibly drama, for better or worse, major accomplishments, in the days around July 10th. In the days around July 24th, we've got the new moon in Leo. All right, as we talked about before, this Leo energy where Mercury retrograde is going to be is in that 11th house of friendships and networks. So not only do you have a chance to revamp everything with the retrograde, there's this great seed planting opportunity for new beginnings in those arenas that will help you start some quiet decisions about how you're going to progress in those areas. So as I mentioned before, we have had all of the outer planets change signs within recent times. So if you want to know how Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Jupiter changing signs, not only is happening in the general way, like what general things we're going to see from this, but also your personal chart, the houses that those planets are moving through, go to my personalized report page at AnnieBClarity.com. Annie, the letter B, clarity.com. If you want to learn astrology with me and you resonate with how I teach, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you want to get my write-up, if you like the dates and you want more sweet and salty dates and you want all of the things that are really important to know written a month early, go to anniehelpsyou.com, put your name and email address in for my free VIP community. In the welcome letter, you'll have an archive link, and you can just put July 2025 astrology in that link to get my very detailed report. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.